Today, China seems to be pushing the boundaries of what is possible in construction, turning extreme landscapes and compressed timelines into genuine engineering victories. Here, grand projects rise where it would seem nature itself throws down the gauntlet. From a swift train piercing the frozen heights of Tibet to a sea bridge 34 miles long that dives beneath busy shipping lanes, these structures can rightly be called legendary. Get ready to embark on a journey through the 20 most incredible mega projects of China. How did China manage to build one of the world's most impressive suspension bridges right on the edge of the South China Sea? The Tsing Ma Bridge is not just an engineering giant, but a true challenge that left American engineers asking in astonishment, how did they do it? It links the islands of Qingyi and Ma Wan in Hong Kong and amazes not only with its size, but with its multifunctionality. Its two-level structure carries 6 lanes of road traffic and 2 railway lines. Such a combination is a rarity for suspension bridges, especially those that face furious typhoons and a powerful flow of port traffic every day. Its length exceeds 1.34 miles, and its main span stretches to 4,518 feet, which still makes Tsing Ma one of the longest bridges of its type on the planet. But it is not only the scale that impresses. Behind this project stands truly brilliant engineering. The structure had to withstand hurricane-force winds, earthquakes, and the constant threat of salt corrosion, while remaining capable of carrying more than 80,000 vehicles and high-speed trains daily. Construction began in the early 1990s and, despite the colossal scale, was completed in just a few years, exactly on schedule and under pressure. The bridge was ceremoniously open in 1997, just in time for the handover of Hong Kong to China. Symbolic, isn't it? How do you build a bridge so long it could connect New York and Philadelphia with room to spare? In China, they know the answer. The Danyang-Kunshan Grand Bridge is the longest bridge in the world, stretching for 102.4 miles. It became part of the Beijing-Shanghai high-speed railway and crosses everything: marshes, rice fields, rivers, and lakes. At the same time, the area is prone to earthquakes and strong storms, which made the project especially risky. More than 10,000 workers labored on it for about 4 years, and the result exceeded expectations. Today, trains race across it at speeds up to 186 miles per hour, significantly cutting travel time and boosting the region's economy. From above, the bridge looks like a giant concrete ribbon resting on 9,500 sturdy piers. It is not only a record holder, but also a symbol that China has moved beyond the role of a catch-up player in engineering. Can you combine bridges, tunnels, and artificial islands in a single project capable of withstanding typhoons and an endless stream of ships? China did it by building the Grand Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge. The total length of the structure is about 34 miles. It includes an almost 4-mile undersea tunnel that dives beneath busy sea routes and 2 artificial islands connecting the bridge sections. Construction took almost a decade, demanding the highest precision and advanced technologies. Now, travel time between the 3 cities has been reduced from 3 hours to 45 minutes. This project became not just an engineering record, but a powerful stimulus for trade, tourism, and the economy of the entire region. Have you ever seen a bridge that is simultaneously a tunnel, stretches for 15 miles across the open sea, and cuts a 2-hour drive down to 30 minutes? The Shenzhen-Zhongshan Link is one of China's boldest engineering solutions. This megaproject connects 2 powerful economic centers across the Pearl River Delta, and it does not take a simple route. Here, an undersea tunnel, artificial islands, and 2 giant sea bridges are combined into a single project. Such a hybrid is one of the most complex infrastructure objects on the planet. A tunnel 4.7 miles long runs underwater, and the bridges are designed to withstand typhoon impacts, marine corrosion, and an unending flow of vehicles. Builders worked amid tides, intense shipping, and pressure at depth, without losing precision and without slipping the schedule. But this is not just architectural beauty. It is an artery along which millions of people and tons of cargo will move daily, powering the Greater Bay Area, China's analog of Silicon Valley, but on a far grander scale. Should an ordinary highway climb through clouds and weave over mountain peaks to do its job? In China, they are sure it absolutely should. The Yangtze Expressway, nicknamed the Highway to the Heavens, is not just a scenic route, but a true engineering masterpiece capable of impressing even the most seasoned specialists from the United States. The route stretches for approximately 149 miles through the harsh mountains of Sichuan province, overcoming a change in elevation of more than 4,265 feet over a short section. Imagine, you drive out of downtown Denver and after a few minutes you find yourself on a mountaintop, yet all of it at expressway speed. To bring this project to life, it was necessary to build more than 270 bridges and 25 tunnels, including grand viaducts that seem to hover in the clouds. At some points, the driver finds themselves above the cloud layer, surrounded by steep cliffs and misty valleys. Those who have driven here say it feels like traveling to another world. Engineers approached the task with jeweler's precision. They did not simply lay the road straight. They literally wove it into the terrain like a thread into fabric. There are bridges that amaze with their size, and there are those that inspire with their intelligence and functionality. The Hutong Yangtze River Bridge managed to combine both qualities. This two-level giant connected the city of Nantong with the megacity of Shanghai, becoming one of the country's most impressive transportation hubs. On the upper level are 6 lanes of road traffic. Below are high-speed trains flying at speeds of more than 250 kilometers per hour. 2 transportation systems on one structure, and all of it without the slightest hiccup. The main span exceeds 3,900 feet, making it one of the longest in the world among cable-stayed bridges. Builders had to account for powerful currents, strong winds, and constant vibration from trucks and trains. At night, the bridge is transformed. Bright rainbow-hued lighting turns it into a shining symbol of modern China. And most importantly, it cut travel time between 2 major centers from 3 hours to less than 1. That is not just convenience, but a huge economic gain and an acceleration of freight transport. How do you replace a huge road bridge without paralyzing city traffic? In most countries, it would take weeks, but in China, they did it in 43 hours. Beijing's Sanyuan Bridge is a key transport hub connecting the city center with the highway to the airport. More than 200,000 vehicles cross it daily. In 2015, it became clear that the old bridge, built in the 1980s, needed replacement, but shutting it down for long was impossible. The solution turned out to be ingenious. The new bridge was built next to the old one and then slid into place in one piece using a special rail system and hydraulics. More than 1,300 workers labored without a break, and in less than 2 days, the upgraded junction was open to traffic. Such a level of coordination and precision can be achieved only with perfectly calibrated cooperation among all services. Sometimes projects appear that change the rules of the game. Such is the deep water tunnel beneath the Pearl River estuary, diving to a depth of 164 feet. It is part of the Shenzhen-Zhongshan high-speed railway, and it has already impressed specialists around the world. It is being excavated by one of the most advanced tunnel-boring machines in the world, a purpose-built colossus capable of working in soft soils under high pressure and in complex underwater currents. A tunnel, more than 8.2 miles long, passes beneath one of the country's busiest shipping routes, where complicated geology and tidal currents could have derailed any construction. But Chinese engineers did not go around these obstacles. They went straight through them. The project will connect key economic zones of the Greater Bay Area, sharply accelerating transport and strengthening integration among cities. Not long ago, such construction would have been considered impossible, and today China is carrying it out ahead of schedule. Is it possible to create a mechanism that lifts dozens of people to the top of a mountain without wheels, cables, or rails? In China, they managed it. The Bailong Elevator in Zhangjiajie National Park rises 1,070 feet and is listed in the Guinness World Records as the tallest outdoor elevator in the world. It carries passengers from the foot to the summit in just 88 seconds, less than a minute and a half. Why here? The cliffs and stone pillars of Zhangjiajie are incredibly beautiful, but hard to reach. The elevator opened access to these landscapes without carving roads through the mountains. 3 two-story cabins with panoramic glazing allow visitors to see the forest, mountain peaks, and valleys in all their splendor. Builders had to solve challenges of reinforcing the cliffs, preventing erosion, and complying with environmental standards. As a result, the site became an example of how modern technologies can be combined with preservation of nature. When nature challenges you by unleashing torrents of rushing water and threatening floods, can you build a structure that not only restrains its power, but turns it to your advantage? China answered this challenge by creating the Gupatan Hydropower Station, one of the country's most impressive yet little-known megaprojects. Hidden in the mountains of Guizhou Province, this concrete gravity dam, about 728 feet high, towers over the Wujiang River, blocking its flow with a mighty wall. For comparison, that is taller than the towers of the famous Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. But Gupatan is not just a dam for generating energy. It tackles several strategic tasks at once. It generates electricity, improves navigation, and regulates water levels, protecting cities and villages during flood seasons. Its installed capacity is 3 gigawatts, and annual generation is measured in billions of kilowatt hours. That energy is enough to supply millions of homes, reducing coal consumption and thereby lowering harmful emissions. However, Gupatan's main trump card is multifunctionality. During the rainy season, it holds back surging waters, and in ordinary times it ensures navigability, allowing local residents and industrial enterprises to use river routes. Construction was a real ordeal. Steep cliffs, complex geology, changeable weather. But Chinese engineers proved that with smart strategy and modern technologies, even the most difficult natural conditions can be turned into allies. What structure can have such an influence that it changes Earth's rotation, if only by microseconds? It sounds fantastic, but that is exactly what happened with the Three Gorges Dam, the most powerful hydroelectric station in the world. Located on the Yangtze River in Hubei Province, this giant dam stretches for more than 7,600 feet in length and rises to almost 600 feet in height. Imagine a 50-story building lying across one of the greatest rivers on the planet. Its installed capacity is 22.5 gigawatts, enough to supply electricity to more than 80 million homes. Annual output is close to 100 billion kilowatt hours, significantly reducing coal use and carbon dioxide emissions. But this dam was built not only for energy. It also became a key instrument in the fight against floods that for centuries devastated regions along the Yangtze. A huge reservoir stretched for 400 miles upstream, storing water during the rainy season and releasing it in measured amounts, saving cities and fields downstream. Even NASA noted that the weight of the reservoir's water altered the distribution of mass on the planet, shortening the length of the day by a tiny fraction of a second. This project is an example of how construction can influence not only the economy, but also the physics of Earth. How long does it take to build a new railway station? Months, sometimes years. But in the city of Longyan, in southeastern China, they erected a full-fledged station with tracks and signaling systems in 9 hours. On the night of January 19, 2018, more than 1,500 workers, divided into 7 teams, in less than half a day, laid more than 10,000 feet of track, installed switches, connected signaling, and completed all key work. The secret lay in meticulous preparation. All materials and structures were prepared in advance, and when the countdown began, everyone knew their section of work. In the morning, trains were already running on the new rails. This project became part of a large-scale program to develop high-speed rail, linking small towns to major transport arteries, accelerating economic growth and improving people's lives. How do you build a high-speed railway in mountains, considered the roof of the world? China answered, with high technology, boldness, and maximum precision. The Lhasa-Nyingchi line stretched for 270 miles across Tibet, passing at elevations of more than 10,000 feet above sea level. More than 90% of the route runs either on bridges or in tunnels, all to avoid dangerous slopes, deep gorges, and to preserve the surrounding nature. Trains here accelerate to 100 miles per hour, and the cabins are pressurized as in an airplane so that passengers do not feel a lack of oxygen. Viaducts cross gorges, tunnels run deep into the rock, and the route withstands extreme temperature swings and the most complex geology. At the same time, the region's ecosystem was taken into account. Construction was carried out to minimize impact on flora and fauna. This railway is not just a transport project. It is a high-speed artery connecting Tibet with the rest of the country and a symbol of how natural barriers can be overcome. If this dam had appeared elsewhere, it might have been perceived as an ordinary energy project. But Zangmu rises at an elevation of more than 11,800 feet in the Himalayas, right in the heart of Tibet, and that changes everything. It is China's first large hydroelectric station on the Yarlung-Changpo River, which, leaving Tibet, becomes the Brahmaputra and carries its waters to India and Bangladesh. The project does not merely provide electricity. It became a statement of the country's capabilities. 6 huge turbines generate 510 megawatts of power, supplying light to cities and villages on the Tibetan plateau. Building at such an altitude is like working on another planet. Biting cold, lack of oxygen, mountain terrain that most engineers would refuse to tackle. The Chinese made it through all the trials, creating the region's largest high-altitude dam and a serious player in energy. But Zangmu is not only an engineering triumph. Since the river feeds countries downstream, this project drew worldwide attention and sparked political debate. Here, water is not just a resource. It is a tool of influence, geopolitics, and power united in a single structure. Why did China build one of the most powerful hydroelectric stations on the planet in the heart of rugged mountains? The answer is simple. They strive not only for energy, but also for leadership in infrastructure. The Baihetan Hydropower Station is the second largest hydroelectric plant in the world, second only to the famed Three Gorges. It is located on the border of Yunnan and Sichuan provinces and harnesses the mighty flow of the Yangtze River. 16 giant turbines, each delivering about 1.34 million horsepower, provide electricity to tens of millions of homes across the country. Construction took place in one of the most challenging corners of the planet: narrow gorges, sheer cliffs, high seismic activity. China applied the most advanced technologies and the most precise calculations to overcome these difficulties. Beyond its impressive capacity, this station helps reduce millions of tons of carbon emissions annually, playing a key role in the country's green energy future. Once, China imported technologies for such facilities, and today it builds projects capable of changing the balance of power in global energy. When China launched the Qinghai-Tibet Railway, it was not just construction. It was a step beyond what was thought possible. The line stretches for 1,215 miles from the city of Jining to Lhasa, cutting through some of the harshest and highest landscapes on Earth. At its most extreme point, the railway rises to an elevation of more than 16,600 feet above sea level. Higher than Mount Whitney, the tallest in the contiguous United States. And yes, American engineers were stunned. Laying rails through permafrost, areas of thin air, and seismically active zones is a nearly impossible task. Much of the route passes over ground that turns into a viscous slurry in summer. To keep the rails from floating, engineers devised a system that keeps the permafrost frozen year-round. Oxygen is supplied in the cars so that passengers do not suffer from altitude sickness. There are more than 675 bridges and more than 50 tunnels, designed for hurricane-force winds, snowfalls, and extreme cold, making this railway a symbol of engineering resilience. But beyond toughness, there is beauty. Snowy peaks, endless meadows, herds of yaks, views worthy of the finest pages of travel magazines. However, this project is not only about tourism. It bound remote Tibet to the rest of China, opening new opportunities for trade, tourism, and strategic control over the region. And now, it is your move. Write in the comments which of the projects impressed you the most, and be sure to include the keyword, so we know you watched to the end. And ahead of us, there are still many stories that take your breath away. Do not miss them.